Hello, I'm David with Arizona MMC, the state's premier medical marijuana certification office. You can visit us today online at arizonammc.com and book your appointment right off of the website. Today I have the Arizona Medical Marijuana Update, which we've been bringing you monthly for quite a while now, and this is the December and January installment. The topics today are we'll take a look at the latest numbers, and then there are some surprising new marijuana polls that have come out recently that might surprise you. And we'll look at the federal waffling and then the latest in the Arizona federal lawsuit against the Department of Justice. There's some new studies that have come out, and then there's an issue with convicted felons and the medical marijuana cards. First of all, the latest numbers. The last report that came out from the Arizona Department of Health Services was through November, and that showed approximately 16,500 cards have been dispensed. And most likely now it's up to close to 18,000 that we've added over another month to it. 83% of those getting cards have checked the box to request growing marijuana. 74% of the card holders are now male. And you can see the age ranges. 23% are 18 to 30, 21% 31 to 40 years of age, 19% 41 to 50, and then 23% 51 to 60. So for anyone who thought that everybody was going to be really, really young getting these cards, they were dead wrong. It's a very nice age range. Similar to other states who have medical marijuana legal, 86% are chronic pain diagnoses, 13% nausea, 5% cancer, 5% hepatitis, 15% spasms, and then most of the others like glaucoma, HIV, and whatnot, they come in around 2% each. Keep in mind, some people can have double diagnoses as well. And there are now about 860 caregivers that are licensed in the state. New survey milestone in the United States. The most recent Gallup poll showed that right at 50% of Americans support full legalization of marijuana, not just medical marijuana. As of this recent year, between 70 and 80% of Americans now support legalizing medical marijuana. And 16 states plus the District of Columbia have done so. You can see the jumping numbers. 1969, 12% supported marijuana legalization. And then 2000, 30%, and 2009, 40%, and most recently it was at 50%. The federal waffling is becoming more and more disconcerting. Most recently, while the U.S. Attorney General, Eric Holder, was being questioned in the gun sting case, there was some deviations into medical marijuana by Colorado Representative Jared Polis, who, if you watch the video on YouTube, did a really good job of asking direct questions in a very nice way to the Attorney General. And Eric Holder reiterated the 2009 Ogden memo, which stated that due to the limited resources of the United States, they were not going to go after businesses that were compliant with state law. So there's some ambivalence to that because of what's going on in California right now. You know, the IRS is going after the nonprofit dispensaries about taxes using some obscure tax code. You know, they've gone after some banking institutions and are going after the dispensaries themselves, writing letters to the landlords saying either you evict them or we're going to go after you for civil forfeiture of your property. And so it's still waffling. He did specifically ask about the banking and got pretty much the same answer, that if banking institutions are working with businesses that are compliant with state law, they were not going to go after them. So he says it, but on the other hand, you can see that there are some inequities in that statement. So it's still up in the air. Arizona sued the Department of Justice, I don't know, it's been at least 6 months, over clarification on, as I mentioned, the waffling. Jan Brewer, who you can see pictured, was concerned that the feds might prosecute state employees who are processing applications for dispensaries. That was never stated to Arizona. There's no precedence for that. So this past month, it went in front of a federal judge who basically told the state, you have to pick a side. you can't list fictitious plaintiffs and defendants just so you can get clarification. You have to be either, on the pro or the con side. And she was very harsh about it. And she said she wasn't going to make them pick that day, that they could, take a little time, and she was going to throw it out unless they decide whether to support their own law. So two entities, the U.S. Justice Department and the ACLU, have filed for dismissal of the state's lawsuit. So we'll see what happens with that. There's some new studies that have recently come out regarding cannabis. One is in looking at teen marijuana use. Three centers, one in a legal state, Rhode Island, another in an illegal state, Massachusetts, and then Oregon, which is legal, looked at over 32,000 students over a dozen years. And essentially what they found is that there were no significant differences between teen use in legal states versus illegal states. So, there's that big concern, right, is that states are going to legalize medical marijuana. It's going to become more appealing to more people, such as teens and adolescents, and they're going to start using it, and you're going to see rates increase. And in fact, as you can see with hefty numbers in multiple locations, it didn't happen. So that was interesting. It debunked that concern. The next study, which was impressive, was looking at fatalities from car accidents. That's the biggest cause of death in the 5-year to 35-year age group. They looked at over 10 years of data in 13 legal medical marijuana states. And this data came from the National Household Survey on Drug Use and Health and the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration. And they found that fatalities in legal medical marijuana states dropped by 9%, which is obviously statistically significant. And they found that mostly what they were seeing is less drunk driving. So people are not drinking as much. They might be smoking pot and might be doing it in the comfort of their own home. Or one of the postulations was that maybe they just have more insight that, okay, I'm high and I shouldn't be driving, as opposed to alcohol, which tends to make you not realize it, makes you more aggressive. So those are two studies that have alleviated concerns that have been brought up against legalizing medical marijuana. One of the latest concerns in Arizona, to me, is misplaced. Felons and medical marijuana cards. It is legal for a convicted felon to get a medical marijuana card. And the quote here from the Attorney General of Arizona is, "In general, I do not think that convicted criminals should be getting medical marijuana." Well, that can be taken multiple ways. But basically what it says to me is that someone who needs and has a debilitating condition and could benefit from marijuana, it is legal in the state of Arizona. Is he also saying that convicted felons who have debilitating back pain and a failed back surgery should not be eligible to get narcotics for treating their chronic back pain? That's a legitimate course of treatment. And basically, if the state has passed it and medical marijuana is deemed a legitimate course of treatment for these debilitating conditions, who is the Attorney General to say that? I mean, that is selective treatment of a patient with a debilitating condition, and to me is just plain inappropriate. So, you have your own opinions on that, but if you take away the part that's convicted felon, if they have a debilitating condition and there's treatment that's been passed and legal for that, I think that should be made available to them. And, regardless of how you feel about what they were convicted for. So we're coming up on the new year, 2012. I think we'll probably see 3 to 4 more states legalize medical marijuana. There's about a dozen who have it on their agendas, so most likely about a third of them will go forward with it. We'll see some clarification of federal versus state laws. This has been, sort of sloughing its way through the court system, but hopefully we'll see some sort of clarification. I don't know that it'll be rescheduled from a Schedule 1 controlled substance, but hopefully we'll get some better clarification on some of these issues. Dispensaries in Arizona, I did a video recently showing that they were DOA. I still think they're DOA, but maybe 2012 we'll get some clarification. They might come back to life. Right now, if you get a card, which you can get, and we are the premier center in Arizona to do that, then you either have to grow your own, or you can have a caregiver who supplies the medication for you, or you can get it from another patient. So we offer free photo IDs, free document scanning, and help with the online state process. Our number toll-free is 855-294-3227. That's actually 855 AZ ID card. Or visit ArizonaMMC.com. You can book your appointment online. There's a blog. There's plenty of information there. And you can also request medical records. There's a form to fill out, and we'll get those for you for free. Thank you very much. Happy New Year to all of you, and we will see you next month. Thank you.